Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of that one YouTube show you watch when you're supposed to be doing some very important life's work, but you need a reason to procrastinate. That's right, I'm talking about Page Bait, the show where I read the first three pages of one of the most popular books that I know nothing about. And today, the people have spoken. And by the people, I mean the people in my writers group chat. Y'all, you're usually a bad influence, but today you gave me an excellent idea because Keeper of the Lost Cities is one of those books that all the kids seem to love, but I know nothing about. Therefore, it is the perfect candidate for this series. So without further ado, let's dive into book one. Or should I say the first three pages of book one, because I ain't reading this whole thing right now. First thing I have to say about this is an excellent cover. To the people who make middle grade book covers, you all do excellent work. Can you please make some like adult book covers? Because I'm freaking tired of these like random floral patterns with just like a dramatic serif font. Like, can adults have some fun too? Can we have beautiful illustrations like this? That would be great. But I guess we're not allowed to because we're not the silly little children. No. We need sophisticated covers that mean nothing. But I digress. Let's see what's on the inside of this book. Preface. Not interested. One. Miss Foster. Mr. Sweeney's Oh, Miss Sweeney's. Miss Foster. Mr. Sweeney's nasal voice cut through Sophie's blaring music as he yanked her earbuds out by the cords. Have you decided? You're too smart to pay attention to this information. I'm sorry, she said nasal. This is what you get. Sophie forced her eyes open. She tried not to wince as the bright fluorescence reflected off the vivid blue walls of the museum, amplifying the throbbing headache she was hiding. No, Mr. Sweeney, she mumbled, shrinking under the glares of her now staring classmates. She pulled her shoulder-length blonde hair around her face, wishing she could hide behind it. This was exactly the kind of attention she went out of her way to avoid. Why, she wore dull colors and lurked in the back, blocked by the other kids who were at least a foot taller than her. It was the only way to survive as a 12-year-old high school senior. Oh, so she's like super smart, is what I'm hearing. Like some child genius everyone's jealous of. Cool, cool. Then perhaps you can explain why you were listening to your iPod instead of following along. iPod, okay, we're starting to date this story. We got like a early 2000s thing going on. I don't actually know when this book came out. I'm just guessing here. Mr. Sweeney held up her earbuds like they were evidence in a crime, though to him they probably were. He dragged Sophie's class to the Natural History Museum in Balboa Park. This is in San Diego? I've been to Balboa Park. It's amazing. Why is she like listening to earbuds and being broody? Like there's a lot of cool stuff to pay attention to here. Assuming his students would be excited about the all-day field trip. Well, why wouldn't they? Okay, Mr. Sweeney's the new hero of this story. Miss Foster. So Sophie Foster. She's the villain of this story. She's like broody and not happy when they're doing something super fun. Why is YA? Maybe I'm just old. That's why I'm like defending the teachers, like and like Ariel's dad and the Little Mermaid, like him being right. I'm just an old grouchy person. Mm. He didn't seem to realize that unless the giant dinosaur replicas came to life and started eating people, no one cared. Oh, I hate this character. I hate her so much. She's one of why I'm gonna get in trouble for this because I know there's like diehard fans out, and in fact, I know some of the fans of this book are in that group chat. But when you have a main character who just has this like bad attitude, like I don't care, I'm just too cool to care, like that drives me nuts, nuts. So let's see. I mean, we're only one page in. I shouldn't judge. I should not judge. Sophie tugged out a loose eyelash, a nervous habit, and stared at her feet. There was no way to make Mr. Sweeney understand why she needed the music to cancel the noise. He couldn't hear the noise. Okay, we've got some issues here. Chatter from dozens of tourists echoed off the fossil-lined walls and splashed around the cavernous room. I almost read carnivorous room. You know what? I'd be okay with that. The carnivorous room because it's got dinosaurs, skeletons in it. It makes sense. But their mental voices were the real problem. Scattered, disconnected pieces of thoughts broadcast straight into Sophie's brain, like being in a room with hundreds of TVs blaring different shows at the same time. They sliced into her consciousness, leaving her sharp pains in their wake. She was a freak. Okay, I do have to say I like this because as someone who like I am the type of person who gets sensory overload when there's like a lot of noise around me, so I'm finding this kind of relatable here. It in her secret, her burden, since she fell and hit her head when she was 5 years old. She'd tried blocking the noise, tried ignoring it, nothing helped, and she could never tell anyone. They wouldn't understand. So if she's got like the superhero thing going on, like in superhero movies, if they get exposed to radiation, they've got like really cool superpowers. But in real life, if you get exposed to radiation, you get like cancer or radiation poisoning. So instead of her just like getting a concussion and or some brain damage, now she's telepathic. Kind of wish that's how things worked in real life, but that's why we read books. Since you've decided you're above this lecture. Oh, wait. Since you've decided you're above this lecture, why don't you give it? Mr. Sweeney asked. He pointed to the enormous orange dinosaur with a duckbill in the center of the room. Explain to the class how the Lambeosaurus differs from the other dinosaurs we've studied. Sophie repressed a sigh as her mind flashed to an image of the information card in front of the display. She'd glanced at it when they entered the museum, and her photographic memory recorded every detail. As she recited the facts, Mr. Sweeney's face twisted into a scowl, and she could hear her classmates' thoughts grow increasingly sour. They weren't exactly fans of their resident child prodigy. They called her Curve Buster. So, you know, pro tip if you want to make friends, try like enjoying fun things. I mean, I know she's got like, some sensory issues, but like I get it, but I know a lot of people in life who have sensory issues who still manage to like enjoy things and have fun and people like them. Like, my son, he's autistic and he gets sensory overload and sometimes like screams if there's loud noises. And he's super popular at school because he enjoys things and he's funny and he's nice and he doesn't like be like, oh, going to a dinosaur museum, that's boring. I'm so above this. No, that's not what he does. He has fun. And maybe if she did that, then she would have some friends. That's all I'm saying, okay? That's all I'm saying. She finished her answer, and Mr. Sweeney grumbled something that sounded like know-it-all as he stalked off to the exhibit in the next room over. Sophie didn't follow. The thin walls separating the two rooms didn't block the noise, but they muffled it. She grabbed that little relief she could. Nice job, super freak. Garwin Chang, a boy wearing a t-shirt that said, "Back off, I'm gonna fart," sneered as he shoved her past her to join her classmates. Maybe they'll write another article about you. Child prodigy teaches class about the Lamosaurus. Of course his name's Garwin. Alright, I'm gonna give the author points for picking that name because Brad was new too mainstream for the bully name, so we're gonna do Garwin. Garwin was still bitter. Yale had offered her a full scholarship. His rejection letter had arrived a few weeks before. Not that Sophie was allowed to go. Yeah, everything in your life is wrong. Got superpowers, but that just sucks for you. You don't find joy in anything. Why is this the main character of so many like YA stories and like adult stories like A Court of Thorns and Roses? This was one reason like that was not the reason I gave up on that book, but that was one of the reasons why I hated that book was because Feyre was like this. She hated everything. Everything in her life was somebody else's fault. She was like super self-righteous, but I digress. We'll do that book another day. I'm just hoping that they give Sophie some redeemable quality. I'm judging this entire thing off the first 3 pages. Her parents said it was too much attention, too much pressure, and she was too young. End of discussion. And that sounds very reasonable. She's 12 years old. She's got plenty of time to figure out if she wants to go into Yale level debt. She take a couple years off, get a job, save up with her mind powers. She could do that. But no, her mean parents, her mean, very reasonable parents are being mean. So she'd be attending the much closer, smaller San Diego City College the next year, a fact some annoying reporter found newsworthy enough to post in the local paper the day before. Child prodigy chooses City College over Ivy League, complete with her senior photo. Her parents freaked when they found it. Freaked wasn't even a strong enough word. More than half of their rules were to help Sophie avoid unnecessary attention. Front page articles were pretty much their worst nightmare. They'd even called the newspaper to complain. The editor seemed as unhappy as they were. The story was run in the place of an article on the arsonists terrorizing the city, and they were still trying to figure out how the mistake had happened. Bizarre fires with white-hot flames and smoke that smelled like burnt sugar took priority over everything, especially a story about an unimportant little girl most people went out of their way to ignore. I feel like just going out on a limb here, this arsonist thing is going to come into the story later. It'd be very important. Like, there's some keepers of lost cities setting fire to San Diego, maybe. Or maybe it's just fire season in San Diego. I mean, let's be real, this happens. Or they used to. Across the museum, Sophie caught sight of a tall, dark-haired boy reading yesterday's newspaper with the embarrassing black and white photo of her on the front. Then he looked up and stared straight at her. She'd never seen eyes a particular shade of blue before. Teal, like the smooth pieces of sea glass he'd found on the beach. All right, we got our romantic interest, people. Here we go. Okay. There's a very particular look in like YA middle school books that the male romantic interest has. He's always got dark hair. He's got blue eyes. I think my husband Joe described it best when we were watching the Maze Runner. He's like, the main character of this movie looks like the default sim that you have to customize. Yes, we've got our default sim main character here. Romantic interest. Let's go. Something flickered across his expression when he caught her gaze. Disappointment? Oh no, enemies to lovers. Before she could decide what to make of it, he shrugged off the display he'd been leaning against and closed the distance between them. The smile he flashed belonged on a movie screen, and Sophie's heart did a weird fluttery thing. Is this you? He said, pointing to the picture. Sophie nodded, feeling tongue-tied. He was probably 15, and by far the cutest boy she'd ever seen. So why was he talking to her? I thought so. He squinted at the picture, then back at her. I didn't realize your eyes were brown. Well, that's page 3. Everyone in my group chat now hates me. So thanks. Thanks for everything. Everything, people. Maybe I'm old and grouchy. Actually, I probably would have read this entire book in about 5 minutes when I was the age of Sophie. And so yeah, I'm sure it's great. I'm sure we find some more redeemable characteristics of Sophie as we read on. Hopefully, hopefully we do. But anyway, I want a character, I want a main character that like has some joy in life. I feel like I care a lot more when bad things happen to characters that actually have some kind of like joy and think the best of other people and everything, but I digress. I guess that's not what the market's into these days. Anyway, if you found this helpful or enjoyable in any way, what's wrong with you? Go find something else to watch on the internet. There's millions of videos uploaded every single day onto YouTube. You could be watching any one of them, but here you are watching me. I don't know why. Anyway, if you think of any books you'd like me to react to, like your favorite book from your childhood that you want me to just go in and trash because I'm a horrible human being, and then you can hate me, just leave it in the comments below, and if I know nothing about it, maybe I will next time. In the meantime, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.